So a couple interesting things that happened. Just FYI, while I was building this, I did have a very robust motherboard. Considering the AM3 Plus platform that I got about 4+ years ago, the motherboard that I had was an AMD Sabertooth, which, as you guys know, it's all tough rated components, 5-year warranty, very high quality components, and robust feature set considering the platform that it was on. I had a total of 8 SATA ports on that board. I actually only had 6 on the new board, so I had to unplug my DVD drive, which, let's be honest, I wasn't going to use anyway. But still, also had to make some further concessions in the back and the ports that were available. This old AMD motherboard had like 14 USB ports, 2.0 and 3.0. So, I utilized the crap out of those. No need for a hub on that board. I actually ran a few ports shy on the new Asus Z170A, and had to bring a couple of my peripheral USB ports up to the front ports, such as my wireless receiver for audio for the headsets, and probably have to get some kind of a USB hub either from my desk or maybe in the back of the computer possibly, but just something else to to be aware of. One other thing is that on my previous system, even though I was running PCI Gen 2, which was a quarter basically as fast as PCI Gen 3 in terms of bandwidth per lane, I was actually running that at a full 16x, so 16x PCI Gen 2 on my GPU. And I also had, I don't know if you guys recall my earlier comment about the Intel NICs being worthwhile, the network interface cards. I had an add-in card because the NIC on that board had gone out. Funny story though, you're going to laugh at this, it's pretty hilarious. I had initially plugged that NIC in to the new system because I just wanted to use the Intel network interface card. But it actually comes with a network interface card from Intel that's built into the board. It's onboard Intel NIC card. So I thought, hey, I could probably use that if I wanted to. It's the same thing, no big deal. And actually, I was forced to use that essentially because with that card in another PCIe slot on this new Z170 board, it actually was using a number of PCIe lanes and kicked my GPU down from 16x on the PCIe 3.0 interface down to 8x on the PCI Gen 3 interface. So I pulled that card out. I enabled the onboard Intel NIC card, and it works fine. Bumped up my my bus speed back to 16x Gen 3 on the GPU, which is what I'm trying to get. But with all of those SATA ports populated, all 6 of them populated, and them sharing essentially 20 lanes of PCIe, I'm not sure what else that shares them with, but I think it's either the SATA Express or the M.2 interface. I'm sure you should probably 4 of those lanes already. I don't have an M.2 SATA SSD, I'm sorry, an M.2 SSD in here at this time, but obviously looking forward to getting one of those in the future. So possibly a Samsung Evo or Pro M.2 or anything from the new Intel 3D X Point coming out later this year. So exciting stuff in terms of interface and storage abilities, etc. Some other things that I got out of this platform upgrade, other than just the CPU boost and the ability to take my video card out and still have video due to the integrated GPU on the Intel chip. So that'll come in handy when I go to sell that card. I can have a little bit of period of time where I don't have a dedicated GPU. I can just use the integrated chip, built into the CPU would be great. So yeah, but I got that advantage. And I also got the ability to use newer features such as USB 3.1, 10 gigabytes per second interface, over USB 3.0's 5. It can also double as a DisplayPort 1.2 or a Thunderbolt port. So I can enable those in the BIOS if I'd like and use that port for any of those 3 things that I would like, which is pretty cool. On top of that, obviously the upgraded DDR4, which will come in handy when I go ahead and drop this bad boy and get myself a Zen upgrade later this year. I can keep that RAM as long as it's acting right. Again, try having some troubles with that RAM out of the gate here, getting the rated clock speed on those. But we'll see where that goes. And yeah, other than that, guys, definitely have improved IPC instructions per clock relative to the AMD that I had in there before. But you'd be surprised some of these numbers. Some of the tasks that are more highly parallelized, that work well over a large number of integer cores, especially, which the AMD had. 8 integer cores, 8 actual physical integer cores, 4 floating point cores. But very similar to how AMD does hyperthreading. AMD has basically taken one core and then kind of fleshed that out to do two things at one time. They put 2 integer cores on each actual core and then share the resources with the one floating point unit, essentially, on the bulldozer / pile driver architectures, etc. Yeah, you'd actually be surprised how well that older and much less expensive system actually kept up and even exceeded the Intel system, this brand new system right here, in certain tests. So great, both great systems, both have a lot of life left in them. If you guys are looking for a build, the AMD platform, the AM3 Plus, in my personal opinion, is still very, very viable. Your GPU performance typically isn't going to be limited whatsoever by a Gen 2 interface. Even at 8x, very, very, very little performance degradation in terms of frames per second in your games. For the most part, you're rendering stuff, on the video card and the VRAM on the card. So, very few games. I think maybe GTA 5 can benefit from faster RAM, but that's one of very, very few titles out there that actually will give you a performance boost or degradation from that link being more robust or less robust. So, yeah, still a viable platform in my opinion, but definitely looking forward to Zen later this year. AMD is going to have some kick-ass CPUs later this year. So look for a video on that, guys, coming out pretty soon. I'll do one on kind of new stuff coming out later this year, new hardware that's going to benefit all of us in terms of price and performance and just getting us some better tech. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get back to it. See you in the next one. Watch out for the drop ahead.